To say that video game movies have had a bad reputation would be a massive understatement.
Of course!
It's so bad that it almost feels like a curse. A curse that started with the first video game adaptation, the 1993 live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Monkey!
In recent years, though, video game adaptations have made something of a turnaround, to the point that some would even consider the curse officially broken. It would be quite fitting then if the second Mario movie turned out to be an awesome success, a poetic bookend for the mostly embarrassing era its predecessor heralded. And in a way, I suppose it kind of is. It broke box office records, becoming the biggest opening weekend for any animated movie ever, and it's easily the second best movie to come out of Illumination. Not that that's saying much. Unfortunately though, the movie is, frankly, mediocre. It's definitely not as bad as many feared when we heard it was being made by Illumination, and it's not like I was expecting The Last Wish or anything, but I still found the whole thing incredibly disappointing. I would say the film has a terrible story, but for a story to be terrible, it must first exist. Which is to say that the plot is about as vacant as a typical Mario game. And before you say something about being faithful to the source material, or they didn't have much to work with, remember that we're not talking about a game, where gameplay can carry a non-existent story. We're talking about a film, where the story and characters have a lot more weight to carry. And it's not like Mario hasn't been adapted into a narrative-focused genre before. If they could flesh out Mario's world, characters, and storytelling for the RPGs, then why not for a film? A film should play to the strengths of its medium, and try to flesh out the aspects that the games typically gloss over. And the worst part is that the film almost did that. We see hints of a story. The Mario brothers are introduced as struggling entrepreneurs. Mario is tired of feeling like a nobody and wants to make a name for himself. Luigi is a timid coward who struggles to keep up with Mario. Their father disapproves of their decision to leave their steady job and thinks Mario is dragging Luigi down with him. We're constantly reminded of how close Mario and Luigi are and how much they depend on each other. The building blocks of a good story are there. Only none of that matters once they end up in the Mushroom Kingdom. Luigi spends the rest of the movie in a cage while Mario gets shuffled from scene to scene so fast you'd think he was giving an acceptance speech at the Game Awards. This movie has some of the worst pacing I've ever seen, even for a kids film. None of the scenes get any time to breathe at all. It's like they're on a timer and can't exceed 2 minutes or something. These scenes are so truncated they can't accommodate even remotely natural dialogue. Like there's this scene where Mario and DK are stuck in the belly of a mall ray, and it almost seems like they're about to have some kind of character moment, commiserating about how their fathers see them as Nope! Escape time, on to next scene! The freaking Sonic movies had more measured pacing than this. Hell, the Despicable Me movies had better pacing. I suppose I should find something positive to say. It's pretty. Yeah, everything looks great. There's a lot of attention to detail. The character designs are good. The action scenes are suitably energetic and bouncy. Music was hit or miss, honestly. I mean, the composition was great, but it's very heavy-handed. It's one of those scores that's very clearly trying to force you to feel a certain way. It overpowers scenes rather than underscoring them, and for some reason every theme is a medley. You'll hear snippets of like 5 different songs in one scene. Somehow even the music manages to have pacing issues. It's not bad necessarily, but it makes the score feel very inauthentic. Not as much as those random ass 80s pop songs though. I don't even need to say anything about them. They're stupid and out of place. You know it, I know it, and the fact that we were robbed of a Jungle Japes remix in favor of fucking Take On Me is a crime against cinema. Speaking of crimes against cinema, I guess now's as good a time as any to talk about the voice cast, because for the love of all the star gods, please stop casting Seth Rogen in movies. Okay, now that we've got the worst performance out of the way, Cranky Kong wasn't that great either. I mean, Fred Armisen wasn't terrible, but he just didn't sound old or, well, cranky enough. He sounds more like a sitcom Jewish uncle than a crotchety curmudgeon. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad and Kevin-Michael Richardson as Kamek were fine, just perfectly serviceable, nothing to write home about, but not much to criticize either, at least in terms of performance. The script is another story. Toad is one of the worst offenders in the awkward dialogue department, and he basically has no purpose in the story after Mario meets Peach. Speaking of which, Chris Pratt is squarely in the meh category with Toad and Kamek. He definitely does a better job than the trailers made it seem, but once again, nothing to write home about. Same could be said for Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, but I feel like she did just a smidge better than Pratt's Mario. Jack Black and Charlie Day easily steal the show, which is basically what everyone expected ever since the cast was announced. They're also probably the most faithful to their game counterparts. I kind of feel like they might have skipped ahead a bit too much by jumping straight to Bowser being in love with Peach though. I mean, in the plot of the original game, Bowser was just out to conquer the Mushroom Kingdom. The reason he kidnapped the princess was because she was the only one with the power to undo the curse he had placed on all the inhabitants. Yeah, believe it or not, Super Mario Bros. Is technically a war story. Each level literally ends with Mario and Luigi recapturing a fort. This theme carried over to Super Mario Bros. 3 and to a lesser extent Super Mario World. Bowser's interest in Peach specifically didn't really appear until 64 and Sunshine. I always got the impression it was like a reverse Stockholm kind of deal. And yes, I know I'm neck deep in headcanon territory, but that's still better than what the movie gives us. We're never told what, if any, history there is between these two, so Bowser's obsession with marrying Peach feels like it comes out of nowhere. In the end, I would say the Super Mario Bros. Movie is a perfect illustration of the difference between a good adaptation and a good movie. It's probably the most faithful video game adaptation we've ever seen in terms of visuals, music, character designs, even down to how the power-ups work. And it's got enough cameos and Easter eggs to keep at least 100 journalists and YouTubers busy for a while. The thing is though, if all you want is to see Mario and friends bounce around a colorful and imaginative world on a quest to defeat Bowser, you can already get that. It's called playing a Mario game. A movie should offer something a game can't, otherwise,
why bother?
Unfortunately, the Super Mario Bros. Movie just doesn't have anything to offer beyond pretty visuals and nostalgia. If I were feeling particularly cynical, I might even call it a glorified commercial for Super Nintendo World, which is a shame because it's been shown time and again that advertising-driven media is just as capable of good art as anyone else. They just have to give a damn. But hey, that's just my dumb opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm the Rambling Rune Pony, and I'll see you in the next one.